Hello, everybody, and welcome into another edition of Texas, but on Wednesdays now. We are no longer Texas Tuesdays. We are also now Bleeding Burnt Orange. So this is an edition of, or the newest edition, the first one, Bleeding Burnt Orange, here on Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. Again, sorry for the Wi-Fi problems. We're going to get that sorted out. Um, this is number 21, like I said. So welcome in. Thank you again. Hit that like button, subscribe down below. Go over to the Texas channel and do the same thing if you're on the Big 12 channel. If you're on the Big 12 channel, go to the Texas channel, do the same thing. If you're here on Mark Rogers TV, you've probably been here before, but if you haven't, hit that like button, subscribe down below. Again, sorry for the Wi-Fi problems. We're usually here at 7:30. I was having severe Wi-Fi problems again. We'll get that figured out. And before we get started on the Texas TCU recap and the Iowa State preview, if you're going to go to a game, go to ticketsmarter.com and purchase your tickets. You get $10 off a purchase of $100 or more with code BIG. And then if you're going to be, a big spender, which honestly, not even a big spender at college football games anymore, that's either 1 or 2 tickets, depending on the game, maybe 3, 4, maybe at a lower level game like a Bowling Green or Toledo that played last night. Type in code BIG20 for $20 off a purchase of $300 or more. Again, subscribe to the SEC channel, which Texas will be in next year, so you might as well subscribe because I'll be over there. Subscribe to the Big 12 channel because Texas is here for at least, let's see, we got Iowa State. We win that game, we're going to be in the Big 12 championship game. So we got Iowa State, Texas Tech, and then Big 12 championship game, 3 games, possibly 4 or 5. I'm hoping for 5. But I think we're going to have 3, hopefully, knock on wood, knock on this wood table right here. So, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. It really helps out the channel. Again, I'm very sorry for the Wi-Fi issues. Some things are out of your control. Control the controllables. I am here tonight. I'm always going to be here on Wednesdays, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, sometimes at 8:04 Eastern Time or 8 o'clock Eastern Time when I went live because of Wi-Fi issues. Now, again, any comments, questions, if you want to move the conversation along, jump in the chat. I love to talk with you guys. I love to interact with you guys. The more people we have in here, the more interaction we get. So, again, please hit that like button, subscribe so we can get more interaction. Now, Texas survives again, and I keep saying it. Survival, that's what we're doing at this point. Texas wins 29-26. We start out hot. Quinn Ewers played pretty damn well, in my opinion, for his first game back in 3 weeks. I don't think there's too much you can criticize him for. Obviously, he underthrew a ball to Worthy. The guy's not 100%. He's not, because he does not underthrow balls. He's got one of the best arms in the history of college football. I'm talking about his arm, not talking about his accuracy. I'm just talking about his arm. And he underthrew it, and he still hurt, definitely to me. I think he's probably operating between 80 and 90% if I had to guess. But we kept him clean. That's something that we did, that we had to do. So we didn't re-injure that shoulder, and thankfully we did do that. Quinn, on that afternoon, 22 of 33, 317 yards, 9.6 yards per attempt, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So, again, I thought Quinn played pretty well for this game, especially his first game back, and I don't really have much to complain about. On the ground, guys, Jonathan Brooks doing what he does. 21 carries, 104 yards, 5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns. Now, we will talk about the injury, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later when we get in the good and the bad of what I saw in this game. C.J. Baxter, 18 carries, 61 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. Again, we'll touch on that too because that's not good enough with Jonathan Brooks being injured. Xavier Worthy, probably his best game of the year. You could argue Alabama, but 137 yards on 10 receptions. He could have had more. There are opportunities there where I think if Quinn is on, we're talking 175 to 200 for him. He had an excellent game. Still didn't find his way in the end zone. I wish he would have got him the ball in the end zone. Jonathan Brooks was our second leading receiver with 74 yards. And then A.D. Mitchell had 61 yards as well, including that big one to ice the game. Sorry about this, guys. I had to itch. So fantastic job by A.D. Mitchell. This was, again, we played Kansas State, and I thought they both played pretty well. I think Xavier Worthy's stats would have looked better in that game if Quinn Ewers was playing and not Malik Murphy because he was open, and they don't really have good rapport, him and Malik. But A.D. Mitchell balled out in this game. A.D. Mitchell, or balled out in last game, played pretty damn well in this game. Honestly, if we're getting 198 yards between the two, that's what they should do every game. To be completely honest with you, they're too damn talented to be shut down. I think they're probably the second best duo in college football. I know people would argue with me on that, and I'm putting Washington first. I think Washington is first. I know Ohio State fans are going to argue with me, and that's fine. I understand Marvin Harrison, but Emeka Ibuka has been injured, and he hasn't really showed up that much. So you can't put them there. You can't. I'm sorry. I agree. Marvin Harrison Jr., he's in a class above by himself. He's number one, and then there's a drop off to a category of a couple other guys for fighting for that number 2 position. But I think Texas has the second best tandem in the country with A.D. Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. Defense, pretty damn good. 3 sacks, 6 tackles for loss. Again, second half, we'll talk about that in the bad, but they played pretty well. They didn't play great in the second half, but played very well early on, especially the front. The front always plays well. And then we'll touch on TCU a little bit. Josh Hoover, 302 yards passing, which is too much. 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Imani Bailey, he was almost the first running back to break 100 yards versus Texas rushing the ball. There's only been one player to break 100 yards versus Texas, and that is Dylan Gabriel. Still don't know how he did it. He had the game of his life. We played like crap. Jalen Ford's worst game as a college starting linebacker, by the way. He was god-awful in that game. But Imani Bailey almost got to 100 yards. He played pretty damn well for TCU. And then a guy that played spectacular, a guy that Texas fans are saying, I hope he transfers here. And guess what? I wouldn't hate it either. Savion Williams, 11 catches, 164 yards, 14.9 yards per catch and 1 touchdown. And then the Texas transfer to TCU, Jared Wiley, added 6 for 65. But where they didn't get any help, guys, they had 0 sacks and 0 tackles for loss. You're going against a guy in his first start, back from a shoulder injury, and you didn't hit him once, you didn't pressure him once. That's an issue, and that's honestly where TCU lost this game. They shouldn't have been in it in the first place, but if they were going to win it, they were going to have to get to Quinn, and they didn't do that. So that's where they lost this game. I'll jump into a couple comments here, and then we're going to touch on the good and the bad. I did fix the stream. Again, Wi-Fi issues out the wazoo the past 2 weeks. We're going to get it figured out. By next Wednesday, I'll have it figured out. We'll do something. If I have to go somewhere else because we couldn't figure it out, that's what I'll do because I'm sick and tired of it just as much as you guys are. It's really annoying. Jonathan Howard, hold up. I know this dude didn't just say the best wide receiver tandem in the nation is anybody but Neighbors and Brown. Okay, good point. I'll give you that. If you want to argue that, okay, you're right. I forgot about them. I'm sleeping on them. I'll give you Jonathan Howard. That was a great point. I'll put them number 1. I think we have the second best. We have a top 3. I don't think that's really up for debate. I think it's LSU, Washington, and us. Again, Ohio State, if Abuka was healthier and playing at the capabilities he could be playing up, they'd probably be ahead of us, but he's not. And these two guys, Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell, are right now, I believe Pro Football Focus has A.D. Mitchell ranked lower tier round 1, Xavier Worthy upper tier round 2. I think they're interchangeable, honestly. I think a team could fall in love with Xavier Worthy and draft him in the lower first round. And I think some teams could fall out of love with A.D. Mitchell because I think sometimes he looks disengaged, where I don't think you can say that about Xavier Worthy. I think he's always engaged. And I think he could fall a little bit. And by the way, point proven on Saturday with Xavier Worthy getting tackled on that interception, getting up and making the recovery on, and also Jordan Whittington. Jordan Whittington's going to play 10 plus years in the NFL because of who he is as a human being. He's a great human being with really good character qualities, and he's going to fit in a locker room, and he's going to be one of those glue guys we hear about that helped win a Super Bowl at some point. That's who he's going to be. I don't think he's going to have like an insane numbers-wise career, but you're going to look at him as a leader and a glue guy in the locker room. I think number-wise, you're probably looking at 40 to 60 receptions a year for 500 to 700 yards and 4 to 6 touchdowns every year for the next decade. And that's good enough. He'll make $50 million doing that. So props to him. And he showed great hustle chasing down the cornerback on that play and stripping the ball. By the way, Josh Newton, who is TCU's best cornerback and one of the best cornerbacks in the Big 12, got absolutely worked by Xavier Worthy. BB, playoffs have 1 spot left. Bama, Texas went out. Who gets in, Bama or Texas? Okay. People are going to be surprised by this, but if Texas continues to play the way they've been playing through their next, what I believe is going to be 3 games. Well, in this conversation, it would have to be 3 games because if they lose versus Iowa State, there's no chance. But if they continue to play this way through their next 3 games and barely squeak out victories versus a Texas Tech team that's not very good. I think Iowa State's a decent team. I don't think they're terrible. And then what's probably going to be a top 25 in the Big 12 championship game, and Alabama beats Georgia, I think Alabama gets in because of the way we've been playing. Now, if we turn it around and start to blow these, let's say we beat Iowa State by 3 scores, 17 plus points. Let's say we beat Texas Tech by 3 scores, 17 plus points. Let's say we win the Big 12 championship game by 3 plus scores. I think you have to put us in. There's really no argument there at that point, in my opinion, because That means the last month of the season, we've been playing just as dominant football as they have. By the way, I think people are overrating their wins. Ole Miss is not a great football team. They're not. And they beat them by 10 points in a game that was pretty close the whole way when it shouldn't have been. And people are putting too much into it. This isn't the same Alabama team. And they're saying that because they lost to Texas and then how they played versus USF. They played USF in a torrential downpour. Go watch. The game was canceled for about an hour and a half because of how bad the weather was with a backup quarterback. If Jalen Milroe's in that game does not turn out like that. They win it by 3+ scores, and no one's talking about, oh, this is a totally different Alabama team. Are they different? No doubt. Are they so much different that Texas probably, if Texas and Alabama played this weekend on a neutral field, I still like my chances. Do you know why I still like my chances? Because Texas plays up to competition all the time. They do it all the time. They've done it since Tom Herman's been here. Remember that 2019 LSU team? Texas gave them one of their 3 best games of the season. And that was not a good Texas team. I've seen bad Steve Sarkisian Texas teams play with an Oklahoma and almost beat an Oklahoma, take a 21-point lead on Oklahoma when that team wins the Big 12. So that's what I'm saying. I have an issue here. We beat them. We beat them by 10 points. Now, again, if we do struggle like we have been struggling, then I probably tend to lean towards Alabama. But if we start blowing teams out like we did earlier in the season, like Baylor, and then we did blow out Wyoming in the fourth quarter, like that sort of stuff, and we start winning by 3+ scores again, we have to be in. We have to. I just don't see how you can, at that point, not put us in. But if we win by 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, and these are close games heading 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and Alabama beats Georgia, I think Alabama's in. And I honestly wouldn't have an issue with that. I wouldn't as a Texas fan. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I wouldn't. Because I think if we're playing that poorly versus Texas Tech, versus an Iowa State, versus probably an Oklahoma State, Kansas State, or Oklahoma, we don't deserve to be in. So it's going to be interesting. Ralph says Texas is 100% in over Bama. I don't 100% agree with that. Honestly, guys, I could see Oregon not making it too. Like if Alabama wins the SEC, Texas wins the Big 12, and Oregon wins the Pac-12, I could see them kicking out Oregon even though they don't believe it. This is why I've always hated the 14 playoff. I know people are going to disagree with this, but if you look back most years, the 15 could have won the national championship in a lot of those years. They could have. I know Mark would probably disagree with that. A couple teams come to mind. I know TCU definitely in the past. I think that was either the best or second best team in the country that year when Ohio State won it. There are a couple other years in there, and this is another case. I think the 5th best team in the country this year could easily. I think the 6th or 7th best team in the country this year could win the national championship. I don't think there's a dominant team. I know people are going to argue with that too because of what Georgia's done over the past few weeks, but I don't think Ole Miss is that good. Missouri is good. I will say that Missouri's a good football team, so that's a good win by Georgia. But my eyes tell me Ole Miss ain't that good, and Tennessee ain't that good. Who has Tennessee beaten? Tennessee should not be ranked. That's a joke that they're ranked. So yeah, that's my opinion on that, guys. Keep your comments flooding in and hit that like button and subscribe down below. We'll touch on Iowa State while you guys are commenting. So Iowa State, they are much better than I anticipated. Much better than I anticipated. I thought Iowa State was going to be, I believe I had them ranked as the worst team in the Big 12. If not the worst, the second worst. It was between them and Cincinnati when I was breaking down the Big 12 and the previews that I was doing. And I've been completely wrong. Matt Campbell's done a phenomenal job. I think Matt Campbell's just destined, honestly, to win 7 or 8 games every year he coaches. Because that's what he does. They're probably going to win 7 games this year. And this isn't a good football team. Like, talent-wise, this isn't a great football team. He's coached them up to be a pretty damn good football team. They're not great talent-wise. So Iowa State, they're 6-4, 5-2 in conference. They average 25.7 points per game on offense, 77th in the country, so not great. Below average, 19.9 points per game on defense. Always damn good on that defensive side of the ball, especially with John Haycock calling the plays back there on defense in that 3-3-5 that he basically invented, by the way. Like, he is the mastermind that started calling this in the Big 12, and everyone else copied. Rocco Becht, I've been impressed with him. I like him. I think he's actually better than the quarterback they had last year. His name escapes me right now, but he was pretty – Hunter Deckers, sorry. He was pretty damn – I thought he was pretty damn good, honestly. I thought he wasn't surrounded with the best talent, but I think Rocco Becht's actually pretty better. Son of Anthony Becht, who used to play college and NFL football, if anyone didn't know that. I'm sure you guys have heard that by now. But 15 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 62.1% completion percentage. I like him. I think he's a good player. He reminds me of Brock Purdy, honestly. And I like Brock Purdy, and I like what he's doing in the NFL. Running backs, Eli Sanders, Cartavius Norton, and Abu Sama. Abu Sama's their best player, but he has the least amount of touches. I don't know if that's because of injuries. Again, I haven't followed Iowa State that closely this year, but all these guys are consistent. I mean, when you're getting 4.1 to 6.6 yards per carry, that's decent. Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins are their two leading wide receivers. Jaden Higgins is a Washington State transfer that I liked. Liked him at Washington State. I talked about him a lot in the preview. And then their defense, always solid. They're always going to have a couple pros, and that's no different this year. TJ Tampa, really good cornerback. He's probably one of the three best. He is one of the three best cornerbacks in the Big 12. You could argue first. I personally would argue him, Josh Newton, and Ryan Watts would be my top three, or Jahdae Barron if you want to count the nickel position. J.R. Singleton at the defensive tackle position leads the team in sacks. And then middle linebacker Caleb Bacon, who was third string heading into the season, first in tackles for loss was 6.5. And free safety Jeremiah Cooper has 5 interceptions, which leads the team. Overall, it's exactly what you see from an Iowa State team. A bunch of 2 to 3 star guys that are playing like high 3-star, low 4-star guys. That's what they do. That's what Matt Campbell does. He gets these guys at 2, 3-star levels, sometimes 1 stars, and develops them. And they've done a good job with that again. They're going to have probably 4 to 5 NFL guys on here that will play pretty damn well in the NFL, just like Breece Hall does, just like Xavier Hutchinson has done a little bit with the Texans. So they just do weird stuff, man. I appreciate Matt Campbell. I like what he does. He's a really good football coach. I don't know if he's ever going to leave. He had the chance a couple years ago when he was a hot name, and he didn't. So it's really hard for me to believe that he ever moves on from Iowa State. And that's a good thing for Iowa State, because that means you're always going to be competitive, especially with Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12, even though they've kind of owned us on the road. You're probably going to get bumped up a win now every year. You're probably, instead of winning 7 games, you're going to win 8. And that's a damn good job for him at Iowa State, because look at what they did in the past before him. It was not much, guys. He has really turned that program around. Is Matt Campbell still considered a good coach? He has to be. Again, if you're winning 7 games, B-Bean, please go look at Iowa State's records before Matt Campbell. They were bad, man. They were really bad. Like, they were embarrassing, and they're not that anymore. What he has done there has done a very good job. And I don't know if he could take a 4 and 5-star led team and coach them to a national championship, but I can tell you right now, he can take a 2 and 3-star team and lead them to 8 to 10 wins. Every 4 or 5 years, you can get to 10 wins. That's what he does. And he's done a good job, man. He'll never win a national championship at Iowa State, but he will steady the ship, and they will be a respectable program. And that's exactly what he's done there. Before him, it was not a respectable program. So props off to Matt Campbell. I still think he's a good coach. Now, I will say this, guys. They have a good defense on paper, but they have not played a schedule or an offense like Texas. If you look at the one offense they did play that was similar to Texas and Oklahoma, Oklahoma put up 50-something points. If we can protect Quinn Ewers, this is not a good passing or a secondary team. And I think that it's kind of weird, because I think their best players are in the secondary. Like, when I think some of these guys go to the NFL, they're going to be damn good players like TJ Tampa. But they don't have the front to get pressure, and that leaves their secondary out to dry, with the quarterback being able to have the ball for a decent amount of time and pick this defense apart. So if we're able to protect Quinn Ewers, we can pick them apart. It's going to be up to, can we protect them? And if we play them 100 times, 90% of the time, I tell you, we protect them. The problem is, this is a 1-game sample size, and all it takes is one really good game. And if they get to Quinn enough, they get 1, re-injure him. 2, we know what happens to Quinn. If he does not get in a rhythm early, it takes him a while to get into a rhythm. Like we saw in the Oklahoma game, he was out of rhythm that whole first half. The only reason he got in a rhythm was halftime. And that can happen. And the problem with this team, they either have a great start and finish poorly, or have a bad start and finish well. Versus Iowa State, in my opinion, it is way more. I would way rather do what we did versus TCU in Kansas State. Because if we do that, that forces them to throw the ball. And they do not like to throw the ball, guys. This team is the 12th slowest offensive paced team in college football. They want to take the air out of the ball. They want to run it. And they want to pick you apart methodically down the field. So Texas, honestly, if you're not playing press man-to-man, which we've begged for, and when this team does it, they do pretty damn well. at it and they do good things when it happens, then this team, you want to force them to push the ball down the forward field. You want them to speed themselves up because they don't want to play like that, one. And if you get a lead, that will force them to do that also. So jump out with the big lead. If you come out slow in this game, that favors them. And then being at home too, we have to start out hot in this game. We have to. And I know it'd be nice for me to say start out hot and end hot. I don't know if this team can do that because they've never done it under Steve Sarkisian. They've never gone 4 quarters where I'm like, damn, that was really freaking good. Even versus Baylor, where we blew them out this year, it was very, very, very iffy at certain points. We have not played a full 60-minute game yet, and I don't expect us to. I'm not going to expect that until we do it. So if you're going to choose one or the other, please start hot. Please start hot. Do not fall behind on the road at Iowa State. I don't want to do that. Go up 14, 17, nothing. And then if you want to blow a little bit of the lead, do it in the second half. I can live with that. I can't live with going down and then having to play a certain way because guess what? If they go up, they're going to play keep away and they are going to take the air out of the ball. And if they're up 14 points, it's really going to be hard because we may only have about 50 plays the whole game. And it's really hard to score a lot of points on 50 plays. Wet blanket. ISU has a great they have a good defense. I'm not going to say great. Their secondary, again, is suspect. If we can protect Quinn, we can push down the field on them. I think they're like one of the worst teams in the country in the secondary. But again, they haven't played many great offenses. I think that's an efficiency stat, not an overall yard stat. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what to expect in this game. I thought before the TCU game, this was a harder game than TCU. Basically, if this is a harder game than TCU, we're going to lose because we let up. We got outscored. What was it? 20-3 in the second half versus TCU. TCU had no business being in that game. We should have won that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns, just like we should have. I'm not even going to say the Kansas State game because that's an outlier with Malik. But there's been other games this year where we should have blown out the competition. We did it. Kansas ended up being a blowout. It should have been worse than it was. We had like 700 yards of offense versus 300. That shouldn't have even been as close as that was. But we need to get back to dominating because, again, if we're leaving this up to a committee, guys, and it's Alabama versus Texas, they're probably going to go with the team that's playing better at the time. That's what they're going to do. I know Texas beat them, but that's what they're going to do. That's my opinion. Will Quinn have to pass a lot in this one? Is CJ Baxter prepared for a tough run defense? So that actually, I totally forgot to hit on this, guys. So Jonathan Brooks being out, gigantic. I think Jonathan Brooks is the best player we have on offense. And when he gets out, we see bad things happen. I like CJ Baxter. CJ Baxter is going to be a good player. But CJ Baxter averaged 3.4 yards per carry versus a TCU team that's not that good. Jonathan Brooks had over 5 yards per carry because Jonathan Brooks is very good. He also was second in receiving for our team. He is our best offensive player. He's our most consistent offensive player, and we are going to miss him dearly. He was going to win the Doak Walker Award. He's the best running back in college football. He was ranked the #1 draft prospect in running backs for the NFL. The guy is a stud, and it hurt me. It hurt me, guys, because I've been on this train before anyone. A year and a half ago, I was telling people, and I'll continue to say this because I was right on this. I said Jonathan Brooks was going to put up better stats than Bijan Robinson. Not saying he's a better running back, but he will put up better stats because we have a great offensive line, a great system, and he is a very good running back. And now he's hurt, and it makes me very sad, and it sucks for this team. It sucks for Jonathan Brooks. And yes, I think Quinn's going to have to carry the load. I think we're going to have to do what we did with Washington, and it's going to be have to be a lot of empty formations and a lot of passing. And by the way, there's no issue with that. You have Jatavian Sanders, you have A.D. Mitchell, you have Xavier Worthy, and you have a bunch of other guys that can make plays, throw the damn ball around. You have a guy, in my opinion, because someone did mention, we'll get to that, Quinn Ewers, where if he came out this year, I still think he'd be a second or third round pick. Throw the damn ball. So, yes, throw the ball. Texas can score more than 34 on Iowa State. Yes, I think we can. That's a question. This is another question. How many do we have to score to win the game? I think it's probably 24-27. I think you score 27 points or 24 points, I think you win the game. The problem is there's a chance in this game you have 50 plays. Do I think Texas, because they're not an efficiency monster, they're really not. We're not good at converting on 31s and 4th and 1s. And we're not good in the red zone. Can we score 24 points on 50 plays? I think it's going to have to be a lot of we protect Quinn and hit a lot of 15 to 25 yard intermediate passes to beat this team and get that many points. I don't think we're going to be able to methodically go up and down the field on this team. I just don't see that happening. I could be completely wrong. If the run game is very good, then that can change. But passing-wise, I don't see us just going click, 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 first down, first down, first down, first down, first down for 10 to 12 plays and then scoring a touchdown. It's going to have to be 15 to 20-yard plays, and you're going to have to get 6 to 8 plays per drive to score touchdowns versus this team. Bean, how healthy is Quinn? Like I said, I think he's 80 to 90% at this point. I think by the time we get to Texas Tech, if he can stay clean in this game, he'd probably be close to 100%. And by the Big 12 championship game, if we win this game and win the Texas Tech game, we'd probably be 100%. He probably would be 100% at that point for sure. But I think he's 80 to 90%. I don't think he's 100%. I just don't. James Brown, will Gunnar Helm get an opportunity in this game similar to the Oklahoma game? I think so. See, it's going to be very interesting how Steve Sarkisian handles it. He could handle this one of two ways. He could go full Washington, like I said, zero back, which he does not like to do. Zero back sets and throw around the yard a little bit. Or he could come 2 running back sets, 2 tight ends, and just smash mouth. I don't know what he's going to do. It's going to be interesting. There's different ways to handle it. This is why he's the head coach. He's got to make the proper decision because, again, this game basically determines who's going to play in the Big 12 championship game. If we win, I think we're basically guarantee ourselves a shot. Basically, we're in. I'm trying to think of a scenario in which we wouldn't be in. It'd be really hard not to be in, even if we lost to Texas Tech, which I've already said. If we beat Iowa State, we're going to murder Texas Tech. That might be the easiest game all year. I'll rest. And watch, I'll probably be wrong, and someone can clip this and make fun of me. But I don't feel any pressure or any need to feel nervous if we beat Iowa State for that Texas Tech game. You're telling me with Texas for their first Big 12 championship appearance since 2018 and the opportunity to win since 2009, we're going to lose to Texas Tech at home after Thanksgiving? I just don't see that happening. Please, Texas beat Iowa State. Hey, Wet Blanket, you got to root for us. Those Cowboys got to root for us. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I think we will. We might as well get to my prediction. Actually, I do want to touch on one thing because I thought this was absolutely idiotic. I thought it was idiotic. I don't know if you guys have seen it. Jared Hufford's comments. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Honestly, I don't give a shit if that's how you pronounce his name. Dude, you're an offensive guard for Iowa State, and you're poking Texas. Specifically, you're poking Tavondre Sweat, who's going to be a first-round NFL draft pick, and Byron Murphy, who's going to be a second or third round pick if he comes out this year. If he stays, he'll be a first round pick next year. You're poking those two guys. You think Texas has too big of an ego. We're going to check it before they go to the SEC. You know how stupid that is? You know, when has the underdog ever talked shit to the favorite and it worked out? When has that ever worked out? You know what the great thing about being an underdog is? Teams overlook you. Do you think Texas is going to overlook you now that you said that? Absolutely not. And dude, you better play well because if you don't, you're going to get manhandled and you're going to get made fun of. And there's a potential you could get hurt because you're going against 2 dominant defensive tackles, the best defensive tackle combination in the country. That isn't disputable. Those are the 2 best guys. That is the best tandem. I was wrong about wide receiver. You can debate me all you cannot debate this. Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy are the best tandem in the country, and they are going to eat this man's lunch on Saturday, and it's going to be fun to watch because you should have shut your mouth. You should have strapped up your chin strap and got ready for Saturday and shut your pie hole. Instead, you opened it, and now you're going to get served something. That's what's going to happen. Yes, he said that. It was very stupid. He said, I'm going to check their ego before they go to the SEC. Honestly, guys, I was super worried coming into this week. And then when he said that, I was like, cool, you're guarding 2 of our probably 5 best players, the best defensive tackle combination in the country, and you got to block them after you said that? Have fun, buddy. Have fun. Wet Blanket, that's right. ISU definitely jinxed themselves. It's just stupid. I don't know why you would poke two guys like that, especially. Like, poking your opponent as an underdog, as stupid as it is, but then you're poking those guys. Not smart. Again, if you're like Rocco Becht or a wide receiver, that's different because you have guys protecting you. You're one-on-one with Tavondre Sweat. Sometimes you'll probably be 2-on-1. You're one-on-one with Byron Murphy. Sometimes you'll be 2-on-1. Don't do it. Just don't. It was very stupid for Jared Hufford to make those comments. He's definitely going to eat his words on Saturday, I believe, and it's going to be fun to watch. And there's got to be some type of celebration those guys come up with, because they will get to Rocco Beck at some point. I got to see something. And if it's a blowout, you could probably taunt him a little bit, honestly, and it won't matter. I kind of wanted to see him do that, honestly, because just shut your mouth. For some reason, Iowa State talks the most out of any team about Texas. I don't know why that is. They talked about us a couple years ago when they beat us. Like, they have 5-star talent, we have 5-star pride or something like that. I forget what it was. But they talk a lot. Did that make Texas bulletin board? Oh, 100%. Byron Murphy tweeted about it. Devondre Sweat tweeted about it. I think Byron Murphy said, I forget what he said. I know Jatavian Sanders said bet after he tweeted it. I forget what Byron Murphy said. But yeah, they definitely saw it. It was very stupid to say. Again, if you're the underdog, be quiet, fly under the radar, and then show up on Saturday. Don't be yelling all this bull jive and then show up on Saturday expecting them not to notice, because they're going to notice, especially in the social media age. They're definitely going to notice. So I do have to pick a winner. I was wrong about Texas and TCU. I said Texas would win 41-20. I'm going to say Texas beats Iowa State. Texas beats Iowa State 33-21. 33-21. I don't know if that's in the number or not. I don't know what the spread is. I think it was 8 or 9. Also, I don't know if my Wi-Fi just did something weird there, so I'm sorry if you didn't see that, but I hope you heard it. I'll say it again. Texas is going to beat Iowa State 33-21. I think, honestly, guys, with the way Iowa State plays football, they have to, again, just like TCU, I think you have to win the turnover battle by +2. I don't think you can win it by +1. I think you have to win it by +2. That's the only way I see them being able to win this game, because you're running your offense so slow. You're the 10th or 12th slowest offense in the country, that you're going to have to rely on turnovers to take plays away from Texas and give them to you. Hell, you don't even have to score with those plays. To me, another stat to look out for is plays run. I think Texas, you want to be over 55 plays run in this game. If this is over 55 plays, I think Texas wins. If it's under, it's probably a close game in the fourth quarter. The only way Texas is winning this game, if it's like at 45 plays, is if Iowa State's just turning the ball over, kicking it around. If this is a 45 to 50 play game, it's probably like 17-10, 17-13 fourth quarter wise. And you don't want to see that as a Texas fan. B Bean says 38-25, so pretty close on that. 33-21. You haven't beaten by 13. I'm winning by 12. Jackson, if you love hearing hot takes on Texas football from Matthew Miller, yep, follow me on Twitter, guys. Please do that. Again, I'm going to be way more active promoting this. I'm going to be way more active trying to clip stuff. So, guys, please follow. Share this out with your friends, your family, loved ones, neighbors, etc. Whoever likes college football, come here, like the content, subscribe to the channel. I will be here every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Bleeding Burnt Orange. That's what it's called. Remember, Bleeding Burnt Orange, BBO. Every time on Wednesday at 7:30. I will also be here. I almost said we. I wish I had a co-host. I will also, you have your child photo. Yes, I do. That's funny that you already went there. Yes, I do have my child photo on Twitter. I thought it was funny, so I kept it there. I will be here after the game on Saturday. I'm trying to think. Game starts at 7. I'll be here about 10:45 and 11 o'clock Eastern time on the Big 12 channel and on the Texas channel. I might be on the main channel. It depends on the games, the importance of the games and everything like that. So I might be here. So again, go over to the Big 12 channel, subscribe, like the content. Go over to the Texas channel, subscribe, and like the content. Guys, I'm going to get the Wi-Fi figured out so we won't have this snafu again where I start and I probably lost some people. There's probably 5 to 6 people I did not get because of that. So I need to figure that out. I will figure that out. But again, thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Like I said, this is the Bleeding Burnt Orange live number 21, the first edition of Bleeding Burnt Orange, but it is live 21 for 21 shows I've been doing this for. A lot of preview shows, a lot of posts, or a lot of, and that's just preview shows. So 21 preview shows plus 21, at least 20 post-game shows, I believe, this year. So we're talking 41 shows. So don't miss it, guys. Hit that like button, subscribe down below. As always, guys, I really appreciate you guys being here. I'm picking Texas 33-21 to beat Iowa State on the road in Ames. I'm hoping that rings true. Thank you, B Bean. Hit that like button, subscribe. Hook 'em, guys. 33-21 on Saturday night. And join me for the post game.